Welcome everybody to a new edition of the Phya Academy video newsletter. Today is our holiday special. Hey everybody, great to see you as always. I thought I'd do something a little bit different for this week's newsletter. Right, it's the end of the year, it's the holidays. We're getting together with family, we're reflecting on our past year, we're getting ready for the new year, we're making goals for 2020. And I thought that this would be a pretty interesting time to talk about how I use ancient wisdom, ancient athletic wisdom, history, and philosophy as inspiration for my own, not just physical practice, but for my own holistic growth in body, mind, and spirit. And when we're thinking about history, and especially as we think about our own personal histories, over this last year, and maybe for some of us, 1 year has morphed into 2. The lesson of the past is that it allows us not to see where we're going, but to gain perspective as to where we would like to go and how we would like to get there. So when we're thinking about incorporating historical knowledge as a way to inspire us to become better people in the present and specifically towards the future, it's this ability to reflect, it's this ability to look back, it's this ability to learn that I think really allows us to understand why these ancient lessons are so valuable. And personally, what I'm doing this year is I'm just taking stock of what I've done in the past year and a bit. It's been a pretty tremendous year in terms of accomplishments. My family has grown. We have a new addition. I've started up this business. I've been, what can you say? Vocal about standing up for rights, but that's led to a couple of disappointments. I've been very busy with school and with family, and haven't been able to grow this project as much as I've wanted to. Right, I haven't read as much as I've wanted to. I haven't written as much as I've wanted to. I haven't produced as much lessons, as much content as I've wanted to. I've had some career disappointments at the university, dealing with mandates, dealing with administration. But the one thing that allows me to be centered through the accomplishments and the disappointments is the physical consistency. Right? It's the getting out on the trail runs. It's the getting in that daily exercise. This allows me to focus on aspirations for the future, things I'd like to achieve. And even in the physical realm, I was able to hit a couple of personal bests up on the trails. Fastest mile, fastest 10K, fastest 5K. These kinds of things. Personal bests on all the favorite tracks that I run in and around my house. And when I think back to the year, I see a bit of everything. I see lots of good. I see lots of bad. But I see lots of hope for the future. And that's because I've embraced this ancient Greek wisdom, especially this idea of physicality as a means towards enhanced intellectual and moral capabilities. And that's because when we boil it down to its very essence, ancient Greek athletic wisdom really tells us to embrace and celebrate activities that are naturally painful, right? It's not enjoyable in a sense to lift heavy things. It's not enjoyable to run to exhaustion. It's not enjoyable to compete and lose. However, that's the value of athletics, is it forces us into this relationship with suffering. Physical suffering, but if you've trained or if you've competed, there's mental anguish as well, and certainly moral and spiritual anguish when thinking about things like integrity, honor, and performance. And the reason that the Greeks felt so strongly about athletics was due to this nature of overcoming. And what do you need to overcome the adversity that you face in your life? Well, you need a strong, resolute mind. And that's what training the body gives us. The ancient Greeks had a term called Akesis. And this means rigorous self-discipline. This was one of the values and virtues that athletics provided for the peoples of ancient Greece. Right? If you want to compete, if you want to be victorious, you have to train hard, you have to practice smart, you have to eat correctly, You have to sacrifice. And it's this rigorous self-discipline that has really helped me personally battle these stormy seas of 2020 and 2021 and allows me to really be aspirational when most people may have been, what's the word? Depressed, give up, failure, and not that good kind of failure, but that resolute acceptance of failure, and failure as an end state rather than failure as a process. And so it's this rigorous self-discipline that the physical gives us that will allow us to face the turbulences that life throws us. And as we move into 2022, I'm just going to share a little bit of what I'm thinking about. When we think about the past year or the past few years of our lives, we need to be honest. We need to know what we've been good at. We need to know what we've been bad at. We need to know where we need to improve. And if you can't be honest with yourself about those things, how can you ever take the first step? But be gracious. This life is hard. This life is hard on all of us. If things aren't going 100% right away, be a little bit easy on yourself. If you're having difficulties with other people, with your relationships, be gracious. However, 2022 is a year of action, so be tenacious. Once we're honest with ourselves, once we give ourselves a little bit of grace, well, then we can tenaciously go after what we want. We can tenaciously fight for what's right. We can tenaciously develop into our best selves. And so I encourage everybody to set a few challenges. Right? How can we grow if we stay at the same place? Think about a physical challenge. Think about an intellectual challenge. Think about a spiritual challenge. Physically, I'm enrolling in a strength program this year. I've never done it. Last time I was in a gym to lift weights was probably 18 years ago. And I've not had a personal trainer. I've not had a program or anything like that. I just punk rock my way through this physical thing. But as I approach older age, right, 35, I know that I need to gain some muscle mass coming into my 40s. And I'm not going to be able to do that if I don't hand over to somebody else. So I've hired a few of my brothers to help me train. And so that's something you're going to see from me in 2022. Intellectually, it's growing this academy. It's offering courses. It's offering classes. It's growing the programming. It's writing. It's producing more videos. Maybe doing interviews. Expanding the mind in a creative way is something that I haven't been doing as much when I focus on teaching, and that's what I really love about this academy. And then spiritually, continuing to grow my family closer to God in terms of our Jewish faith, our practice, teaching my daughter the beauty of our traditions and our history and our beliefs. And these are my sort of three overarching physical, intellectual, and spiritual goals. But I know, right? And I know we shouldn't even say this stuff, given where we are. But I know that 2022's got some surprises in store. So that rigorous self-discipline, right? That simple ability of setting aside 20 to 30 minutes every day to focus on the body, to push it, to stretch it, to strengthen it. All that consistent self-discipline, that Akesis, that's what allows you to grow to the challenges that are in front of you. And that's what allows you to really be strong and calm in a stormy sea when everybody else seems to be losing themselves. by focusing on these important ancient ideals, which I will continue to share and continue to spread, I think we can really get into 2022 and have everything, hopefully, that we desire from this year, so long as we're willing to work and we're willing to sacrifice for what we want. Okay, I'll see everybody in the new year.